Once you've got the shape roughed out, you can slide the edges around in order to distribute the detail more evenly. I'll turn off the grid here in this perspective view and go into the Polygons menu set. Choose Mesh Tools, Slide Edge Tool. Right-click and go into Edge Mode. Double-click, and then you can middle mouse drag to move that edge. And you can see that it's maintaining the shape throughout. It's actually constraining the edge to the original polygon face. Double-click, middle mouse drag. All right, I've just moved those edge loops around a little bit in order to better distribute the polygons across the surface. We're ready to extrude out the wings. We should create a thin, narrow platform from which to extrude those wings. Select some polygon faces on either side of the model. Right-click and choose Face Component Mode. Hold down Ctrl and Shift to add to the selection. Tumble around. You can see I've only selected half. To make sure that we select the same polygons on either side, let's do it in the side view. Tap the space bar, dolly out, and drag a selection rectangle inside those polygons. Go back to the perspective view and tumble around. We can see we've selected on both sides. Scale those down. The R key. Scale it in Y. Not so much that it will overlap with itself. We should check this in our original mesh. Press the 1 key and make sure that you're not causing the mesh to self-intersect. Bring it down to a pretty small area there. Press the 3 key to go back. Maybe we could go a little bit smaller. Go back to the original mesh with 1. Scale it down and then back to the subdivided mesh with 3. With those polygon faces selected on either side, go to Edit Mesh, Face Extrude, and then tumble around to the appropriate side and select the Extrude manipulator. Pull that out. Or just go into the Poly Extrude Face 1 node and increase Local Translate Z just a little bit. We want to have an edge loop here in order to maintain a tight curvature so that this will have a bit of a corner to it. With those faces still selected, do another extrude. Just press the G key on the keyboard and then immediately drag in the Z axis. We've got Local Translate Z here once again. And of course we can scale, but I wouldn't recommend scaling with this manipulator because as you can see it's causing strange things to happen near the edges here. I'll undo that. I actually recommend going to the ordinary scale tool. Use that instead. Switch to the Move tool. Check it in all views. Tap the space bar. Let's see what this looks like. Shift F to frame. We don't get to see the actual outline when we're in a wireframe view. The subdivision surface doesn't show us the contour line there. We will actually need to view this in a shaded mode. Press the 5 key. At this point, if you want to, you can use Symmetry. That's found in the Transform tools. Just double-click on any one of them and scroll down to the bottom. Symmetry Settings. You can set it to Object. And then if you select any component on one side, it'll select the corresponding component on the other side. For example, I could move the end faces of the wing. Go back into the standard polygon view with the 1 key. Get in close and select those. Hold down Control Shift. Dolly back out again. You'll see that the faces on the other side were selected as well. And now, for example, I can move these on just one side, but then see the result on both sides. Press the 3 key. Let's make an airfoil here. I just want to select the bottom front edges on the wing. Right-click and go into Edge Component Mode and select. Hold down Control-Shift and select. Move those down a little bit. Check that in all the views once again. We could also rotate. Go back to the Move tool. Okay, and we can make a few other adjustments. For example, we can round out some of these areas that have been flattened. Maybe go back into Vertex mode. Right-click and choose Vertex. Click on these, hold Control-Shift and select. We can move them. And in this version of Maya, as you can see, I've got a bracket on the Move manipulator. I can click on that and move in 2 axes at once. Check this in the front view. We're just trying to round that out. Do the same down here. We can create a tail fin. Go around to the back. Go into Face Component Mode. Right-click and choose Face. Select a few. Control-Shift. Frame the selected in all views with Shift-F. Once again, we want to create a narrow platform for the extrusion. Instead of moving these edges closer together, I want to insert some new edges. And as I think through this, I realize that I probably want to move this edge loop down. Let's do that. I'm going to right-click and go back into Edge Component Mode. Double-click and go to Mesh Tools, Slide Edge Tool, middle mouse drag and move that down a bit. And reselect these faces here after I've reorganized this a little bit. Right-click and go back into Face Component Mode. We want to select these 3 and leave a border here so that this will be a clean edge. It'll fit together with our jet exhaust section later. With those 3 faces selected, go up into the menus, choose Edit Mesh, Face, Add Divisions, Options. Change it to Linear Divisions. Number of divisions in U we'll set to 3. And divisions in V leave at 1. Click Add Divisions. Let's look at this with the standard view. Press the 1 key. We inserted 3 divisions that way and no new ones this way. Okay, we're ready to do our extrude now. We can go back into our transform tools, double click, turn symmetry back off again. Select these 3 faces and extrude once again. Edit Mesh, Face, Extrude. Switch back to Smooth Mesh Preview with 3. Use the standard transforms in order to move and scale. Go back to the Scale tool. Move tool is W. Check it in all the views. Back in our side view, maybe we'll see this better if we look at this in a shaded mode as well. Press 5. We can rotate. That's the E key. Flatten that out. Pretty cool. Let's look at defining this edge a little bit better. Tap the space bar, get in close on that. This is feeling a bit mushy here to me. It needs to be a sharper edge, sharper corner there. There are 2 ways we can do this. We can add a new edge loop there, or we can use creasing. Let's go into Edge Component Mode. Right-click and choose Edge. Double-click on that edge loop. And under Mesh Tools, you'll see Crease Tool. Middle mouse drag. And if you drag all the way, you'll get full creasing. And that turns into a hard corner now. Notice that the wireframe is now drawn in a thicker line. If we deselect that, we can see it. We can go back into that crease value if we need to. Select the object and go into its attribute editor, Control A. Find the Poly Crease 1 node. And And under Edge Crease, you will see the value for the selected edges. We can just select all those and enter in a different value. If I set it to 0, I'm turning it off. Select again. And a value of 1 is actually half of its full intensity. If I reselect and set them all to 2, that's actually full intensity. We can also do this same operation interactively if we have that edge loop selected. I'll close the attribute editor, double click to select the edge loop, and go back into Mesh Tools, Crease Tool, and middle mouse drag. Notice that in this case I did not add another node. We're just changing the value of the existing node. If you crease an edge, you don't increase the level of detail. In other words, no new polygon faces are added. If I want to increase the level of detail at the same time and have a little bit more control, I can add an edge loop the old-fashioned way. Middle mouse drag to reduce the crease value all the way to 0, essentially turning that node off. And then let's use the Insert Edge Loop tool. Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop tool. Click on one of the edges that you want to cut in half or bisect. Hold down the mouse and drag in order to get a preview. Release the mouse and the operation is concluded. And as you can see now, we've got more polygons in that area, and we've got a nice sharp transition. It's always a good idea to check your original mesh. Press the 1 key. You'll see what I've done here is I've made 2 coincident edge loops. That's probably not ideal. Leave a little bit of a gap there. We don't want any polygons with no area. Go back into Mesh Tools and go back to Slide Edge tool. Slide those a little bit so that they're not exactly coincident there. If necessary, we can resort to old-fashioned move and scale. Press the 3 key, re-enable Smooth Mesh Preview, and perform whatever cleanup. Maybe we'll go back to the rear of the vehicle here and scale these faces. All right, this is a good place for us to delete our construction history. Right-click, go to Object Mode, select, Edit, Delete by Type, History, and then File, Increment and Save.